Pwede siya i-upload na siya chi atos kuan. Ato ganing folder na to nga shared. Pwede ka ato sa nimo i-upload dito chi. Ha?
Okay, ma'am.
Very good. Thank you. So, this is only a recap ha? Before I'll go into the main, what I'm going to discuss. So, actually, the lecture this morning is all about the good life, okay? The different context of good life. So, we will be looking in the context of political, and the good life in the context of philosophical, and then good life in the context of both philosophical and theological, okay? But before that, let me give you this just a recap. Okay, so we know that there are two technical definitions of technology. So, but Martin Heidegger not only looking at the technical definition, but he look at technology with the Greeks. Okay, how they define technology in the word techne. Okay, so it's not only an act of the mind. I mean, it's not only a tool, human activity. Might it is also an act of the mind or poetry. Okay, so in that sense, he was able to come up with this seminal work in which he defined technology as a mode of revealing. Okay, but between the technology considered as a primitive craft, okay, technology lang, as a primitive craft, compare it with the modern technology. So the difference between the two is that um, technology as a primitive craft uh, ends up attaining aletheia through bringing forth, okay, through poiesis. Whereas the modern technology is also, the goal is also to reveal uh, what is aletheia, but it is challenging forth, okay? In the sense that also that the human person is being enslaved and framing to it. But there's a way out, and that is through art. Okay? Now that art there signifies the meditative thinking of the human person. So the only a way out from in framing the effect of modern technology is to do meditative thinking or questioning, reflect. So that's the basic point of the seminal work of Martin Heidegger. Okay, so this is the schematic diagram. So in technology as a primitive um, craft, humans only give form to what already exists without disruption and control. So this could be reflected in the short film that is Watermills. So kung tanaw ninyo itong Watermills, it's a very good short film. It will remind you how how beautiful his nature is, how useful it is. Using it, considering it as in own nature, okay, without disruption, uh, without making it into what you call this. The term is kanang abused. Okay, uh, whereas the modern technology, humans control the productive process, reduce it to something else, often inferior to its true essence. Okay? So ang nahitabo is the human person usurp, meaning usurp ko na yung gigamit ayo ang modern technology just to satisfy the desire, the pleasure of the human person. So muna siya also the enslaving effect of the modern technology. So Martin Heidegger, Jason Hickel, and also Bill Joy, C.S. Lewis, this um, noted, remarkable people remind us as the true essence of technology. Okay? So, for the Aristotelian causes, so say gamit niya, this is just to bring about the meditative thinking. So, Heidegger uses the four causes of Aristotle to teach us on how to do meditative thinking, okay? As to the thinking process. So Monet gamit sa four causes of Aristotle. Why he included that? And then C.S. Lewis also reminded us that science could be in danger. Okay? Considered as a twins with magic if it is considered as a religion. With gullible thinking, we as a human person treat it as credulity and at the same time as a power. When it is used to abuse others, controlling it, so that becomes danger already. Okay? And then the main point also of Jason Hickel's article is that huge consumption does not necessarily equate to a long and happy life. Okay? This is manifested for those average countries in which their average consumption also of goods reflect also of how happy they are and how long their lives, comparing it to those huge countries with huge consumption of goods. Okay? And then Bill Joy also in his article, Why the Future Doesn't Need Us. So we are also encouraged to consider that the unreflective and an unquestioning attitude in acceptance of the new technologies is very dangerous. Okay? To the extent that human person could be replaced with robots, which is not. Okay? So uh, this would lead us now to consider uh, this one. So I really made this in such a way that we can fully understand what really is the good life is. Okay? So in political context, philosophical context, and both in will be including theological context. So I will be more focused on this, both philosophical and theological aspect. But for political context, the focus here is the consumption of the availability of both private goods and public goods. So public goods, these are goods aspired to or believe assumed to be aspired to from the perspective of the state by the community or national public. So the human person could experience a good life in the sense that the government, the state, would provide us the necessary public goods. What are these public goods? Okay? The different services the government offered us. Okay? The energy through electricity provision, water system. Okay? What are those services provided by the government? And we know exactly that during campaigns, what the most promises given to us by politicians to alleviate poverty, to lesser the prices of goods, lower inflation, because there's are the public goods in which somehow when they become uh, elected provide us through their initiatives with of course the funds of the government. Okay? This somehow, if this will be addressed properly, given to us being the citizens of a particular country, we could experience a good life in the sense that we enjoy the instrumental aspect side of this goods. Why is it instrumental? Because um, we experience good life, we do good things because we are provided with these things. So meaning, nahimo na siyang motivation also to do good, okay? To have a good life. Okay? It's the same also with this private goods. So these private goods, so we as the human person tends to seek freedom, liberty, our own right for individual life, and of course to pursuing happiness. So these are the political aspect of what a good life is. Murag na amay na. Kinsa man na nag-message. Okay. Whereas the philosophical aspect, so this now reflects the of Aristotle's eudaimonia. So doing well and living well. But let me give you some very good points also of this eudaimonia of Aristotle. Okay, so Aristotle pointed out two kinds of goods, that is intrinsic good and uh, instrumental goods. So, what's the difference between the two? Is that the instrumental good is something achieving something um, achieving something because you are motivated to achieve it. Okay? Whereas intrinsic is the good, okay? Being good in itself. So meaning, like for example, if you are uh, asked by a task by your parents, okay? Okay, try to do these things. I'll be giving you a reward. Okay, so you do good because of that reward. So you're only motivated because of the reward. Whereas doing that good without any reward for the sake of the good itself, so that becomes now the intrinsic kind of good. Okay? That is also the good kind of good wherein Aristotle reflect is as eudaimonia. Okay? So let's try to consider uh, this one. Okay? Eudaimonia or the ultimate good. Now, these three, pleasure, wealth, fame, how does this differ from achieving happiness, living well, and doing well in a virtuous way or attaining a virtuous virtues? Okay? So one might think that pleasure is the ultimate good. Okay? Posible na siya. So one aims for pleasure in the food they eat, okay? Or in the experience they immerse themselves into. For example, somebody invited you to eat in Vikings or in 101 buffet. Well, that meal is very good. You feel good about it. You take pleasure about the good food. But while that pleasure is an important human need, it cannot be considered as the ultimate good. Okay? Or the intrinsic good. Why? First, it is transitory. Okay? It only passes away. So, enjoy ka karon, you're full. Okay? With a very good different kinds of food. Pero pagkaumana, gutom mo naman sad ka. Okay, so one may have been pleased with the food they had for lunch, but he or she will be hungry again. Or we want something else. Second point, okay? Pleasure does not encompass all aspects of life. Okay? Like, for example, if you're given a scholarship to other countries, so well, good. Okay? But on the side of it, you will be leaving your family, your loved ones, if you have a girlfriend, a boyfriend, it pains you. You will be struggling with it. In other words, it does not encompasses all. Kaya nga naman, di ba ka happy all the time kay you will be living the family, buusod ka. So that is what you mean by uh, not encompass all aspects of life. Okay? Another entity is wealth. Okay? So you might think that achieving wealth could be a potential way of attaining the ultimate good. Okay, pwede siya. Because I think every one of us is aiming to be financially stable, to be rich, or to afford a luxury life, okay? A luxurious life. However, it's very common also. You can hear other people, even though they're wealth, but they're not happy. Okay? Just like what I mentioned a while ago with the article of Jason Hickel. There are the first world country. They're overly consuming the goods. Okay? Take for example, acquiring different units of iPhone. Pag mahumat sa katuig, acquire na sila sa bago. So that is overly consumption. But those kind of people, most of them are not happy. not even have a longer life, because you are putting your happiness or your life into the things that are only transitory. Okay? There are famous actresses that are very rich, but why is it that some of them committed suicide? So probably they're not happy with their lives. Okay? Another is the fame and honor. Okay? So nowadays it's very common, no? As if that the measurement to be famous is the number of subscriber or followers. So, abot na ginay mong followers o minilyon na. So, wow, sikat ka, you're very famous. Okay? You will be envied by others. But take note, ah, that kind of uh, good, eh? That kind of life, um, even though you are admired, okay, you are being famous, somebody there are a lot of people look at you, does not constitute an ultimate good. Why? Because they are based on the perception of others. So if that perception of others change, what happened now with that thing that you considered as an ultimate good? So again, it only passes away. It is transitory. Okay? Fame and honor can never be good in themselves. If one's definition of good life is being popular, respected, then the good life becomes elusive. Okay? Since it is based on the subjective views of others. Okay? Take note of that. Now, the eudaimonia of Aristotle, unlike pleasure, wealth, fame, and honor, happiness is the ultimate good. In Aristotelian sense, happiness is living well and doing well. So among the Greeks, this is known as eudaimonia. Okay? From the word eos, so you know there's already. Okay? So combining it, that means happiness or welfare. Now, Aristotle specifically um, look at this as transcends that all aspects of life about living well and doing well in whatever one does. Okay, and he also emphasized that this kind of life is also the life attained by acquiring virtues. Na siya duha ka klase nga iyang gi-specify nga virtues. This is the intellectual virtues and the moral virtues. Okay, so intellectual virtue is thought to achieve through education, of course, experience, time. Okay? Whereas ang intellectual virtues are wisdom, which guides ethical behavior and understanding. Okay? So uh, talking about moral and ethical. So what's the difference between the two? So the term moral describes an individual's guiding principles and personal values. Now, curriculum of personal values usually stems from internal set of beliefs, okay? Types of righteous codes, which guide probably with your everyday choices and actions. Yung asam na siya nagagikan. So may probably common factors influencing a person's morals includes in religious beliefs. Okay, so your upbringing in your family and your most likely you personally experience. So this constitutes the moral values. Okay. Now the word ethical, term ethical, outlines standards of right and wrong in a social, professional, or legal context. So, like for example, what is the ethical standard or a code of conduct for teachers? What is the code of conduct of government employees? Okay? What is the code of conduct of student substitutes? You are being guided by your student manual. Like for example, what is the proper attire in coming to school? Okay? So in your student handbook, you specify good na you have to wear modest attire. Okay? The cross dressing is not allowed. In a present student manual na. Okay, uh, you might oppose it, ma'am. Ang gender equality di ay well, yeah, you can wear whatever you want if you're outside of CTU, but we have our own code of conduct as a student in CTU. So might as well follow that. So kung ma-change na siya, well, yeah, that's good. You can express it, right? But for the meantime, that's not changed. You have to follow. So if you're a boy, I do not wear dresses of girls. If you're a girl, you wear proper attire in accordance with your sex. Okay? So that's a good example between how do you uh, apply the word moral and ethical. Okay? But the question now is, how do you attain these virtues as suggested by Aristotle? Attaining virtue is not easy. Okay? But before you can attain it, you can possess it, you can have it, you need to understand yourself well. That is why I asked you a while ago to to determine what type of temperament you have. Okay? Because in that sense, that is a good start of knowing yourself. You know your weak points and you know also your strengths. So in that sense, you learn to accept really who you are. Okay? Accepting even your weak points. That's a very first step in doing or acquiring desiring a virtue. Okay? Understand well yourself. Because in that sense, once you master that, once you have a self mastery, you can conquer little ways of your weak points. Okay, so the next slide that I'm be sharing with you is kini siya nga article. I was able to attend this the presentation of this article because I am involved in a foundation that the aim or the goal is to form uh, future leaders to be a servant leaders, and then kining iyang gihatag nga talk is one of the module for them. So um, advantage because I'm part of it, and then I also asked the speaker that I'm to share her her material. Okay, she's both having a doctor degree in philosophy at the same time in theology. Her name is Dr. Andrea. I forgot the family name, but anyway, iyahaning presentation. Okay. Let me share with you the PPT. Okay, so the the title of the presentation is Ethics of a Cultured Person. So the way of conduct for a cultured person. So the person here is considered as the refined person. Okay, the refined person with her own culture. But unsa say nag-constitute aning being a cultured person. Okay, so we as a human person, mm, somewhat aims the ultimate good. Okay, so we have that desire. Why? Um, one time I was encountering also a talk, and the speaker told the audience that the human person, since it is being created by an ultimate good, okay, an ultimate being, which is a source of ultimate good. So therefore, the human person being created by an ultimate God is also the essence is to do good. So even though that human person is very cruel, but there is a point in that human person uh, or goodness. There is goodness because we are created from the source of what is an ultimate good. Okay? So that good now within us, if that will be developed or shine or flourish, usually uh, we might attend what Aristotle described as a virtuous person. Okay? Now, uh, we as a human person is always confronted with this personal drama ba nga. There is in us that is called as authentic side. And yeah, there is also part of us that is called that could be described as inauthentic. So meaning, oftentimes we are not living of who we are. We oftentimes project, uh, which is not who we are. Okay? So naanas ato as a human person. So we try good as much as possible to overcome that. So that personal authenticity that consists also with the right ethical choices and decisions. And then you keep on doing what is good, not only good, but try to be better, not only better, but to be excellent. Okay, so this attainment now is what we call now as the cultured or refined human person. Okay, now as you can see here in the slides, naiduha ka po. This one is Malala, the other one is uh, Dylan Roof. Okay, so unsay naka-diferensya sa duha? Wait ha. Okay, Malala Yousafzai, I don't know how to pronounce her name. She's a Pakistani, female Pakistani. He he was the first, the youngest who um, who was awarded with the Nobel Prize. Her advocacy is on human rights and education, especially education for women. Okay, then uh, in the other picture image also, this is an image of um, a roof. He was convicted in federal courts in the U.S. of 33 federal charges, okay, including hate crimes. So the question now is, which of the two images of a person want you to be? Okay. So, or these two images reflects um, the choice of being good and the other way around. Okay, so this is what I told you a while ago. So human person is always confronted with this human drama. The one choice which expresses the authentic self, and then the other choice is to show the inauthentic self of the human person. Okay? So I am a human being with a human nature. So how does we as a human person differ from the other forms of animals? So we have our intellect. We are a rational being with intellect and a free will. Okay? So that level differentiates us from the lower form in which they don't have. So that uh, possession will treat us what a human is. If you are not doing that, you are only doing less of a human person. Okay? Now that when you're doing that, authenticity results when we match our choice and actions with the dignity that befits our human nature. Okay? So, kung ang actions ng konsistensya, our choices, actions, matches that being a human, what a human is, there we show our authenticity. Okay? So, in each of our actions, we affirm or deny our being human. Okay? So, in every action you choose, you either choose to be a human or less of a human. Okay? So, affirming act ethically. You can also denying the human person that is acting unethically. Okay? So again, we are endowed with a rational intelligence, freedom, emotions, and the body. Okay? So each of us is responsible and accountable for our own action because we are persons. Okay? So kanang mga iro og mga di man accountable sila action kay wala man na sila, they are less of a human. They are not a rational being. They don't have an intellect at the same time a willpower. Okay? So each of us is a who or a personal self. Now, um, we express our selfhood, okay, who we are, according to this psychosomatic structure. Okay? So, kini ato ang pagkakita natay tulo ka world or tulo ka major aspects. The body, the soma, okay, our body structure, the emotions, which reflects the psychological structure, and our spirit, the psyche. Okay? Take note of the psyche. So, tinuod yun din ang atay soul. Okay? Let's look at this. What is it? So, the spirit here includes the structure of our religious beliefs, our intellectual structure, our ethical structure, the interpersonal personal structure. Okay? So, muna yung nag-constitute sa atong spirit. Okay? So, we as a human person should not only focus on how we develop our body structure, we need also to develop our emotions, our spirit, our interior spirit, because that is also very important of us as a human person. Okay? Now, this spiritual interiority, the spiritual side, okay, the spirit world, the spirit structure gives us our value and dignity as a person. So that is why I'm emphasizing this. You have also to develop that spirit structure within you kay mo ni maghatag nimo og value and dignity as a human person. Okay? Now, That spiritual interiority gives us our value and dignity as a person. It renders our body, all experiences and actions recognizable human and personal. Okay? So kana silang tulo, spirit, body, and emotions, they are intertwining worlds within us. So kana nag-intertwine yun na within us, kana silang tulo. Okay? But even though the three structure intertwining, it also gives us or makes us a single person but a complex unity. So we should try to unify that three structure within us. Eh, kung di na mag-unity, so you will become less human yun. Eh, wait sa kay. Wait sa I had to drink water lang for a while. Ah, so are you following me?
Yes,
Nakafollow.
ma'am.
Follow pa.
Sige. So that three structure are always intertwining with us. So usually we aim that to unify that three. And it is very hard. Okay? Your free choices, your emotional temperament, schooling, cultural level, family bringing, body, inheritance, IQ. So they're always intertwining, but our aim is to unify that intertwining within us. Since we are embodied spirit, uh, that interior is the structure of the person. Here we find the elements of a spiritual life. Okay? So let me go to another. Okay, so let me share with you another PowerPoint. Okay. So what is that ethics? So how do we uh, unify that? So once we attain the unity of that intertwining, we were able to refine ourselves. So mo na siya karon ang attain mo as a cultured person. Okay? Now this is an image of Pope John Paul. So it included in the presentation not only not that he's a pope, but his intellect. Okay? He's a very intellect person. Okay? According to him, if the human person has no dignity worthy of absolute respect, then no one has dignity in the entire, okay, in the entire. So that respect should be due to oneself and also respect to others. So both. Okay. So this is what I told you a while ago. This is the three intertwining always. Okay? But how do we harmonize that? Okay? How do we seek unity? Because if we attain the unity of those three intertwining, chances are it becomes the habit in us. Once it becomes a habit, it becomes a character. Eventually, it becomes a virtue. Okay? So, able to express yourself correctly, able to discover the deep meaning and fullness of your life, and becomes a perfect, humanized, and refined version of yourself. Okay? So, this is an image between um, Malala, who is very generous of herself, not considering me, but also for the good of others. Whereas if one is a narcissist, so it always considers self-centered person. Okay? So, according to Malala, it is important that whatever politicians say, whatever the media say, they should be really careful about it. Our intention is to stop terrorism. Do not try to blame the whole population of Muslim for it because it cannot stop terrorism. It will radicalize more terrorists. The more you speak about Islam against all Muslims, the more terrorists we create. So this is according to Malala. Okay? So how do we act with elegance, with culture, okay? Or refinement? Act with refinement. Okay? So beauty, but how do we refine? Act beautifully. Okay? So refinement, good taste, and good breeding. Okay, so kaning good breeding, nagsugod pa yun siya, gamay pa ka. But doesn't mean that now you don't have any chance at all to be refined. You have because you're already wise. Okay, you have attained your age of maturity. Okay, you have to challenge yourself. Okay, you have to challenge your weak points. So the human person can create a culture of refinement that is to drown a culture of rudeness and bad taste. So you have a choice to either to, to act rudely, eh, with a bad taste, or the other way around. Eh, na kay freedom. We have that freedom man. So, but how we do choose the refinement way? Okay? So reflective, thoughtful, befriend, and silence. So these are also very important to consider. But let's look at more of this. So go. You should be a good listener, agreeable, respectful, and courteous. Okay? That is the opposite of being rude. Enrich inner world through reading, and choose to develop a noble, good, wise, and disciplined heart. So how does a cultured how does a cultured or refined person do good? Okay? Wait. So without boasting, gives credit where credit is due and makes others think better of themselves. So this being humble and always be grateful. Humbled when acknowledged. Okay? According to Nelson Mandela, he's a very good person. Okay? Lead from the back and let others believe they are in front. Okay? It doesn't mean that you're good compared to others. Even though you're good, but you let others um, be the first. Okay? You can stay at the back. That is being humble. So when a refined person has to point out something to be corrected, okay, uh, it's clear about that needs to be done. Speaks without attacking the person's personal qualities, does not exaggerate what's wrong, and keeps a modulated tone of voice. Kabalo na ka nga sayop, so you don't need to embarrass that person. Okay? keeps the negative emotions subordinate to reason. Okay? This is also the reason why you need to develop also self-mastery. And in order to develop a self-mastery, you know yourself well, accepting both your weaknesses and your strong points. Do you have a class after this? Ano ba may klase after ano eh?
Wala pa, ma'am.
Wala, ma'am.
Wala. Kano sa unsa ginang oras ta mag-end? 10:30 or 11?
11, ma'am.
Oh, I thought mana ang time. Okay, so ask for accountability without rubbing it in. Okay? So, this is according to Malala. I raise my voice not so that I can shout, but so that those without a voice can be heard. Okay? So, if you're going to search Malala, lagi na siya yung kaugalingon sa mga vlog. Ma'am na yung gibuhat o na vlog na siya. Doesn't mean that siya speaking always, but he let her voice be the voice of those people with no voice. Okay? Kaya during her time, wala man yun ang educational right to young women. Okay? Especially at her age. They were still 17 at that age. So as I walk, this is coming from Nelson Mandela. As I walk out of the door toward the gate that would lead me to freedom, I know that if I didn't leave behind my bitterness and hatred, I'd still be in prison. So Nelson Mandela was being imprisoned, but even though he was in prison, he was still elected as the leader in the country. Okay? That's how powerful he was. Use the head to okay? Use the head to practice doing good. Okay? There is a saying that goes that loving, okay, so I'm talking now of love. So loving is not an emotion, but it is an act of the will. Okay? Kaya nga naman, kung ang isa ka tao or isa ka butang man, you want to love that person, you love that thing. Okay? It should not be affected by your emotion because you are doing your act of the will. That's the reason why other people keep on loving that person, even though how bad it is, even how irresponsible it is, because he's loving that person regardless of those negative. Okay? Because loving is a decision, is not based on emotion. Okay? But the same also doing good. So you're doing good for the sake of good, but not on based on your emotion. So this is now the three very important um, virtues: your ethics, aesthetics, and sensibility. Ethics is a process of doing good. So if you have that, so aesthetics. So once you're constantly doing good, the result is perfect. It's beautiful. Okay? But you need to discover the details of that. So, what is now the notion of elegance? So, elegance is just uh, is, is is also the same as refinement. Okay? To choose what is the best. So, being elegant is choosing what is the best. But that elegance in you must be done first interiorly. Okay? Kaya so man mo pag-project o elegant outwardly, kung ang imong spiritual world or structure within you is not elegant. Okay? So, first is you have to be elegant in your thoughts. But how do you nurture that elegance in your thoughts? Okay? So try to be insightful, thought out, okay? Positive, substantive, deep, and wide. Okay? So it's also very important you learn how to be silent. Okay? When do you silence and when do you want to speak? So elegance in thought is about orderly, clear, precise, makes sense, and simple. Okay? So one suggestion could be, how do you nurture your your intellect? So you have to read. Okay? So you're not only reading what your teachers require you to read about calculus, about statistics, about mathematics. Try also to allocate time in your daily routine to find to read some good books. Okay? Good books that could somehow nourish your intellect. Okay? So once you have that, mura na siya ka ng wave effect ba? Manakod sila siya if you have that. So C.S. Lewis, you know C.S. Lewis, on reading literature, we know that C.S. Lewis is a very famous writer of the Chronicles of Narnia. So, according to him, C.S. Lewis on reading literature, yun siya. Those who don't inhabit a tiny world. So, katong dili mahilig og basa, maray sa kag puyo kag ngay imong kaugaling ng world. Okay? So, how do you educate your emotions? So, choosing the best emotions. So, educating your emotions. Next, you have to be, uh, what is this verbal incontinence? So, this is inability to think before they talk. Okay, so avoid this. Okay? Kaya bang, takles bang, yaw-yaw lang kanya without any kanang structuring it first in your intellect. So what mo huna-huna aba niya, yaw-yaw ra kag yaw-yaw. That's being tactless. Okay? Avoid verbal incontinence. Next is serene. So serene is peaceful and calm. So a person not worried or excited. So ano, you should stay in the middle lang ba? Okay? So every time there are stress or assignments is very heavy or problems very difficult to solve, so just relax. Just relax. Compose. Okay? So when you approach the job with serene confidence, he could succeed, uh, or most likely to succeed. Okay? Noble heart. So what is this noble heart? No, by the way, ang heart man good in theology, anong iyang gimin ma heart mo to ang iyang spirit structure, spirit, the interior spirit. Okay? So sa theology, dili na gamin nga mayon kag heart. Ang heart ng akatong sa physical nimong organ ba dili. Ang gimin na sa heart sa theology, your interior spirit. Okay? So a person with a noble heart can give us what we all search for, a sense of purpose, meaning, and nobility. So a person with a noble heart is having an honorable qualities. He is upright, merciful, grateful, and then he is willing to help also in any way he could. Okay? Without expecting in return. What about good-hearted? So good-hearted is having a kindly, generous disposition. So naanadaan as what I've told you, mag-start gina sa imuhang interior spirit. So in your interior spirit, in your mind, in your heart, so it should be filled with good. Okay? So they give you excuses when you don't explain yourself. So nakay kauban say meeting you have a group work. Kabalo ka sa imong classmate nga nasa yup siya, so you don't need to embarrass. In fact, what you're going to do is you find excuses for that to cover up that person. That is being gentle. Okay? And then usually sa person with good-hearted, which are who are good-hearted, they accept also apologies. Even if you don't give. Okay? So they're very sensitive with that. Okay? Just keep quiet, but they do understand you. Okay? So what is a disciplined heart? A disciplined heart knows how to reflect. He has a discipline to rest. So if your body needs to rest, you need to rest. Because in resting also, ang imo intellect, chances are, it will also kanang work well. Okay? You have a well-rested body, most likely, you also think, your intellect also, you can you also work well. Okay? Okay. Disciplined heart has also a discipline of recreation. So, di lang kay work, work, work. You need also to find ways to uh, make recreation. Not necessarily nga, mulaag pa ka, mo travel ka. Mo get away lang ka with the usual environment you have. So just get away from that and relax yourself. Getting away from that boredom and routinary environment. Okay? You need to spend a lot of money for recreation. Discipline of relationships. So you have also a discipline of relationships. If you have a disciplined heart. Okay. Next is you have to lessen your desires. Okay. So again, desires usually stem from uh, instrumental motivation. So i-lessen ni mo na desires. And then wise heart. Okay. So you know how 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 to, so it's not an intelligent heart but a wise heart. So what's the difference between intelligent and a wise? So a wise is based on actual reality. Okay, so accept reality, how to deal with it. Okay, that is being a wise. Okay, so that ends the presentation.